we had some excitement brewing in IndyCar with the defending champion, Alex Palou, and a tug of war between Chip Ganassi and McLaren over his services for 2023. Is that a nice way of saying that, tug of war?
And that's not bad.
I don't, typically Chip Ganassi does not lose those kind of encounters. That's the equivalent of wrestling to being Dick the Bruiser type.
Well, Zach Brown often gets what he wants too.
I know.
Yeah.
So
two Titans going at it.
To talk about two alpha dogs.
Yeah.
So for those who really don't know, and I'll let you two chime in, but basically our defending champion, Alex Palou, who by the way is now moved up, even this and he makes it more dramatic, now into third place in the point standings, is supposedly signed or the option with Ganassi for next year. Yet on the flip side, he apparently is signed with McLaren to run for next year, which the bright, shiny trinket, no doubt, would be an option to run F1 too. And the powerhouse that now that Zach Brown has accumulated with the Padua Award, Alexander Rossi, and if indeed it is Alex Palou, that's things haven't been that way since Andretti, Al Unser, and Joe Leonard and Parnelli Super Team, I believe. Roger Penske might not agree with that, but that is definitely a big deal. And then you have that Rosenquist factor, which looks more and more he's going to be their Formula E person, whether he wants to be or not.
I hope not. I like his run in the Indy cars.
Right.
He could be just as
And
spectacular.
we'll be talking about that, but let's get a take on how, Paul, you see, and then Bob, how you see what's transpired and how it's going to work its way through, and better yet, how's that going to affect the team if he indeed does go with McLaren? How's that going to affect their desire to have him capture another championship? That tug of war between wanting to win and, well, screw you kind of a type of thing. So Paul, we'll start with you.
Well, the first thing, I have never seen something like that. Really, I don't think I've ever seen something like that. And it all went down within like 7 or 8 minutes, the series of announcements. I was like, what? Wow, here's another one. What? Now their drivers all have managers and everything. So, and often in that kind of situation, the driver is a little more slave to the manager than they probably would want to be. And, it's not uncommon for a manager in any field, as you know, Denny, to go a little out on his own on behalf of his client and then call him back later and say, guess what, I got you. Well, I cannot see this. We're going to see some lawsuits unless they both get drunk. Zach and Chip get drunk and go back in a room and figure it out. I was totally shocked by it. I was totally shocked that kind of thing gets public. There are those kind of wars, but but now, we're journalists. I love it. It's a story.
Yeah.
Bob, what are you hearing?
Well, Paul saying he loved it remind me really of what Will Power said. They talked to Will Power some about it, and he likes it. He thinks it's good for the series, getting that kind of publicity and that kind of talk. So I think there's some positives in that as well. As far as him winning Palou winning the championship and winning more, I mean, that's what they're in business for. I don't care who the driver is. Chip Ganassi is going to be happy if one of his drivers wins the championship. Doesn't matter if it is Palou or every time one of his drivers wins a race. Chip Ganassi is going to be happy. That's what he's doing this for.
Yeah.
And I believe I like what Palou said over the weekend when he was asked some similar questions about you know, how this is going to affect his season. He said, it's not. He said, I'm a warrior and I'm going out to win races, period.
Paid to win.
That's the end of it. As far as distractions, there was a guy I talked to that's familiar with members of the team, Palou's team, and they kind of all congratulated Alex, you know, hey man, that's pretty cool. It looks like a step up for Palou. Of course, they would hate the losing, but I don't think it's a huge distraction for them necessarily. It's not like it's Palou against the rest of them now.
Yeah.
And Paul and I both spent some time with Kurt Cavan today.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, and I'm not sure if Paul caught it, one thing that Kurt thought might happen is Palou might not drive at all next year.
It could end up being that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's right.
In other words, you know, Ganassi exercises the option that he has with Palou. Hey, you're under contract with me. If you don't want to drive with me, fine, set out, you know, something along those lines. So it's very interesting to see how and fascinating really, how it might work out over the next several weeks. And certainly a lot of buzz, on both sides of the pond, as they say.
Yeah. if it happened, and I have reason to believe it did, I think Ganassi sent out looking for Ryan Hunter-Reay's seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. Well, there you go. So
there's the game has begun.
Exactly. And as far as Zach Brown and McLaren, when you look at what Zach Brown's doing, he's got drivers now that he can move like chess pieces.
Right.
Well, you're going to run electric. You're going to run the sports car stuff. You're going to run Indycar, or who knows, he might mix and match.
Yeah.
You're going to test Formula One. So,
and indirectly, he kind of has Herta too.
Yeah, he has Herta. Yeah.
Which we should, I guess, say that Colton Herta had a very successful run in the test car, the year-old car and everything.
Right.
Yeah. Selfishly for IndyCar, I hope they don't lose any of those four.
Well, I hate to see any of those guys, us lose any of those guys. Yeah. But the idea that they're being talked about and IndyCar talked about on an international level it's nothing but good for the sport. Also,
it's you know, like Pat O'Ward and that whole group, anything that happens, I don't see any of them in Formula One, should they go there, until after 2023. Yeah. I think it's too complex otherwise. Right. No, I agree. They might get some seat time like Colton did. Yeah. You know, and I think on television, Colton alluded to it. You know, I'm going to be here 2023. I forget how he said it, but it was there. Yeah, I caught that myself, Paul.
Well, I hope both of you, when you speak to him, push the narrative that he considers doing what Mario did and put it in his contract that he gets to run Indy. And I know, but he's not going to get it unless he asks for it.
I'm not sure that works in today's world.
No,
but it would work if he's running for Andretti race team in F1. If Michael gets an F1 team.
It's Formula One has become, you know, so intrigued with contracts and with the financial side of it. You know, hence Andretti, it's impossible for him to come in as a new team. That just can't happen. Right. But I don't see anybody just suddenly ending up in a Formula One car like that. It's going to be a process if it happens at all.
Yeah, I agree.
So if indeed, well, I would imagine if the thought of Palou sitting out a year, Penske will have all parties in the back room. And
that could be.
And Penske could pull it off more than anyone else could pull it off.
Yeah, sure. There could be a conversation. And yes, he can. He's the only guy that can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe you remember back in 1947 when they had the Aspar strike.
Oh yeah.
Bill Fox of the Indianapolis News came in and averted, he was kind of the mediator on it. Maybe the distinguished Hall of Fame Paul Page will be the mediator to resolve this.
Oh, no.
And everything. Let's push that narrative,
no.
Bob. What do you think on that?
No,
I don't think I'd want to be between Zach Brown and Chip Ganassi
no.
in a closed room.
You remember that strike though, the final line, I think, on it, if I have this one right, was when the drivers were just told the race is going to start 11 o'clock, and if you want to be in it, be in it. Otherwise, see ya.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Tony just put his foot down.
There was one back in 1933, I believe it was, when
Howdy Will.
right, yeah, it was Howdy Wilcox, the second, wasn't able to start Indy because of a supposed diabetic condition.
Right.
Drivers were going to strike, and Rickenbacker says, it's going to be starting in 10 minutes. And if no one does, I'll get in the car and drive the 500 miles myself, and I'll padlock the track, and we'll never have another race here.
Yeah.
Guess what happened? They ran the race. And
they figured it out.
There you go.
But so if indeed they do lose Palou, who's the shiny trinket now? I think he qualified 5th at Toronto. Is going to be the guy that is going to be on everyone's radar. David Malukas, 20-year-old.
Oh,
he's great.
Malukas.
Yeah, Malukas. He's now really outshining Kyle Kirkwood. Kirkwood's kind of, his brand is slightly suffering with his various encounters with other people. And I think Kirkwood's going to be outstanding too.
If you get a little more consistent, I could see VK coming in there.
VK.
I do too. I think VK is their first pick if Ganassi will go after it. It just hit me now. Ganassi might make a run after Rosenquist, just the touche backwards and everything.
I bet after all this, all those contracts are going to be locked up tight after this situation.
The Gene Autry days of a handshake don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Sure. But, talking about Malukas, the two others, it was really good. You had both Kalamayat, I think he qualified 7th, and Lundgaard, Christian Lundgaard was 10th. So 3 in the top 10 again, which is amazing on that. And after what happened at Indy and the potential, will he ever win again, starting to creep in. It was a neat weekend for Scott Dixon up there. And it was a great crowd. Toronto fans seemed to be thrilled the racing again. Scott Dixon won his 4th Toronto race, and it was somewhat convincingly. He qualified 2nd. Colton Herta was on the pole, and really it's kind of unchallenged. What's your take on it, Bob and Paul, his Dixon's win?
Well, I mean, for one thing, it's historic. He tied Mario Andretti.
Yeah, there you go.
For 56 wins, and that's big news in itself. It's just a shame that part of it's his personality, part of it is the way Indycar is received today. He just doesn't get the recognition that he should. Scott Dixon doesn't. But he's just an amazing talent. And I think we saw that again Sunday. That young kid, aggressive driver, and Colton Herta, as good as he is, he couldn't catch him. And so it says something about Scott. I think it's 18 consecutive years now that he's won at least one race. And I believe I heard yesterday 20 years total that he's won it, or 20 seasons total. That he's won at least one race, and 18 of those consecutively. So it's amazing, an amazing record, really.
What's your take of his win, Paul?
Oh, I'm just so happy. He looked so happy and relieved. That monkey's now off of his back, and I think that and the Indianapolis 500 monkey You know,
Oh,
he
yeah.
needed to get away from all that, and he did. And he just has proven once again. I heard an announcer, not yesterday, but sometime maybe last year, referred to him as having a refinery in the back of the car. And it looked like he did again. I mean, that ended up being a pretty interesting fuel strategy at the end. And I think Herta might have mounted a charge in terms of fuel, but his rears went away, and so
Yeah.
that kind of ended that one, which
Yeah.
was too bad. And at least though, Herta was able to hold off the charge that he was receiving.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I think it was a good drive for Herta. You know,
Mhm, it was, yeah.
seconds, good for the championship points. He won the pole, but occasionally Herta tends to get excited, I think, if that's the best way to describe it, when he gets behind and tries too hard to make up and has some incidents.
Long
And I
Beach,
think it
Nashville.
Yeah, I think it displayed some maturity for him. He realized what he could do with his tires and did it. He knew he couldn't catch Dixon and focused on holding off and taking second place instead of crashing out.
I still need to find out more about this reference to a balaclava failure for Colton. Like apparently something happened. He got hair coming across his face.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got to find that out. Where did I see it? I guess I saw it online somewhere today.
Yeah.
I'll check that.
Well, it's amazing to me that there had been 9 consecutive pole winners going into Toronto,
and they changed it. Yeah.
But Dixon started second. So look at that amazing broad talent that there exists in IndyCar again. Between them, I wouldn't be surprised. Dixon very easily could string together 2 or 3 more wins and be in the hunt for the championship when it comes down to Laguna.
Sure.
You know, he's that good and everything.
Oh yeah.
And if that charge is mounting and and the Palou thing gets worse, I think far more focus is going to be on Dixon, or obviously Ericsson. Ericsson's kind of lost in the picture, but by the way, he is the point leader.
Yeah.
And he's
had a pretty good year.
And with his F1 experience, I think he's certainly in the Ganassi car, has to be considered a co-favorite to win the championship this year. And he seems to be enjoying it thoroughly. And I think some other F1 drivers may be looking at that as a landing point fairly soon too. Grosjean again proving it, Rossi proving it as well. Another pleasing thing, let's move on to, since we're talking about Rosenquist, a very great run for Felix, his best of the year, gets a podium, 3rd place, not too far from getting taking Herta for 2nd place. So, I think that
one more lap and he would have had him.
Yeah, and Herta.
And that adds another intrigue to the McLaren saga and everything. What do they do with Felix Rosenquist?
Well, another pleasant change at this last weekend was Graham Rahal.
I was going to say, isn't that neat?
Yeah, I mean, the way that team has turned things around, and we'll see if that sticks. We'll see if they're able to do that moving forward. So Iowa's next weekend, and Graham's always pretty good on the ovals. You know, he's a good on the ovals. So we'll see.
You think the collar might be getting a little tighter around Jack Harvey's neck, though, with Lundgaard running as well as he has, basically the 3rd car. I just have to say it's a bit of a disappointment. I don't know how pleased the sponsor is, because they're doing all those ads to see him run toward the back of the field. But, you know, Graham now proved it could be done, and Christian's proven it can be done.
Yeah.
It's not happening with Jack Harvey, and he's certainly talented enough.
Yeah.
What's go ahead?
All a matter of setups, and it's so complex as setups are today that, you know, something just slightly different that works very well for one driver on the same team just might not work at all for another driver. and fit their particular style. So I'm sure it's something like that with Harvey.
Well, Graham Rahal also mentioned Felix again. He said he definitely deserves to be an IndyCar, and we wish we had a spot for him. So that was a glowing endorsement for him as well.
Well, Denny, what did you think of the Rossi accident? Or Bob, either one.
Say that again.
The Rossi accident where he looked like he got pushed.
Yeah.
And I was looking at a couple onboards, and you can't tell, but you can see not Rossi. Help me here, Rosenquist, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I don't know. I was having one of those old man's things. On one onboard, you can see him kick the wheel to the left. Now, he may have been fighting the fact that the back end's coming loose,
right?
And the officials finally decided there was nothing there. But
right.
That's an interest. I'd like to hear what Lyndike and the gang were actually thinking of when they looked at that whole thing, because it took a while for him to come back with a result. Yeah.
You mentioned Rossi as well in his crash, and it's interesting to me that it seems he lost the steering wheel again.
Yeah, he sure did.
And that's two weekends in a row that he's lost the steering wheel. That's complicated, the crash.
Yeah.
Last time he got through it, but put his teammate out, but he definitely lost the steering wheel, and he did again this week, which made the crash much more severe.
Yep.
So I thought that was, I don't know if there's something going on there with the wheel. They're all custom fit, or just happened. Just coincidence.
I thought he gave a great line to one of the television reporters when he was asked that question, what's going on with your wheel here? What are you going to do? And his answer was, you have any suggestions?
Yes, I caught that. That was to Hinchcliffe, I believe.
Right.
All right, let's reverse that. Had that been asked by Bobby Unser and he said that, what response to Bobby Unser, what would Uncle Bobby have said to that, Paul?
I think Bobby would probably have been more delving, more of an investigative reporter and something like that before he used language that we can't use here.
So, but that was a slight setback to Rossi's championship hopes.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
Because they had some pretty good momentum going.
Right.
But at Iowa, people that run good on ovals can pick up some points.
Yeah.
And, I'm glad Iowa's back. I'm glad it's going in a doubleheader, and I think it's absolutely brilliant that they have two concerts with Blake Shelton.
Yeah.
And Gwen Stefani. I almost want to fly from Redondo to see that and everything.
Right.
But I think that's brilliant. I think it'll have a heck of a crowd, and I'm glad Iowa, they recognize the importance of having that track on the schedule and everything.
And it creates some really great races. Yeah, the one I remember most was when Ryan Hunter-Reay stopped for new tires when everybody else didn't, went to the back of the field and drove right to the lead and won it. That was very cool.
Right. Yeah.
And it's neat to hear Ryan Hunter-Reay's name coming up again too as a possible suitor, because they need him in the series too, and hopefully that happens next year. Well,